Tonight, streets into rivers.
You could see the water right at the window, so that's 7 feet.
How much rain came down in Steinbach as residents clean up and dry off from last night's deluge. Also tonight, putting repeat offenders in the spotlight.
It shows where the system, in my mind, is broken and needs to be changed.
The Winnipeg Mayor's new plan to draw attention to bail reform. Plus, back from the brink.
So having the great news that they're pregnant, it just adds more hope.
How one local group is helping restore Canada's only Indigenous horse breed.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Marilee is off tonight. A late summer rainstorm walloped the southwest region Thursday. The city of Steinbach was hit the hardest. And as CTV's Daniel Halmerson reports, a staggering amount of water fell in a very short time.
It was like your shower coming down on you. And then when we were driving, you couldn't see anything. And then you're going through puddles, and it's like waves coming over your car. It's crazy.
Mitchell resident Tammy Schrader and her husband were driving into Steinbach Thursday night in the midst of a late summer thunderstorm hammering parts of southeast Manitoba.
We were actually kind of stopping and flagging people with cars to turn around because it was just they were backing up one after the other.
All said and done, Environment and Climate Change Canada says upwards of 135 millimeters of rain hit Steinbach and the surrounding area.
So to get over 100 millimeters of rain over the course of 4 hours, like Steinbach did last night, that's 2 months of rain falling in less than 4 hours.
The city of Steinbach says the sewer system did its best to keep up, but the sheer amount of water caused flooding throughout the city, including the basement of the Steinbach and area animal rescue.
It was right up to the basement windows. Yeah, so I mean, when we started the pumps this morning and opened that window, the water, you could see the water right at the window. So that's 7 feet.
Vice President Graham Pollock says all 22 cats in their care were safe on the main floor and have since been moved to Foster's. But the damage to the basement means paying a $25,000 insurance deductible and an urgent need to restock food, litter, bedding, and other supplies.
It's all in the basement, and it's all floating, like I say. It's all ruined.
Pollock says the rescue will be closed until further notice, and it's not the only space dealing with the aftermath of this storm.
I was told about 8 inches of water was waiting outside the door, about 4 inches everywhere, on the ice surface, through the dressing rooms.
Smith Arena will be closed for 2 weeks, meaning several hockey games and practices have been washed out. Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Steinbach.
City of Steinbach officials are investigating to see if this storm qualifies for the province's disaster financial assistance program. Impacted residents are asked to photograph any damage, keep detailed records of any repairs made, and contact insurance providers to verify whether damages are covered. The RCMP officer seriously injured in a highway crash while responding to a mass stabbing incident on a Manitoba First Nation says the tragedy will stay with her forever. In a statement released today, Corporal Breanne Bartmanovich says she has served Hollow Water First Nation for 7 years, and her thoughts are with the victims. She adds that she's hopeful everyone will be able to heal. Police have said 26-year-old Tyrone Samard killed his 18-year-old sister and wounded 7 others at 2 homes on the First Nation northeast of Winnipeg on September 2nd. They said Samard fled in a stolen vehicle and died in a crash with the RCMP cruiser that Corporal Bartmanovich was driving. Bartmanovich says she's recovering and thanks hospital staff for their kindness and dedication. The City of Winnipeg mayor wants to highlight repeat criminals. Scott Gillingham announced a new strategy today via YouTube on his ongoing campaign for federal bail reform, and it includes a weekly bulletin showcasing repeat offenders. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live. So Jeff, what can we expect from these bulletins?
We won't know the name of the individual, but we will see their record.
Winnipeg residents are fed up with habitual criminals committing the same crimes over and over again in our city. And I'm fed up too.
Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham is using new tools to fight for bail reform. This YouTube video released Friday includes a pledge to use real-life examples.
We have to make our case.
Gillingham says using public records provided by the Winnipeg Police Service, he will post a weekly bulletin showcasing repeat offenders and their bail history.
To give you and the federal government real-world examples of how bail and habitual crime is impacting safety and security in Winnipeg.
The mayor says the bulletins won't name the accused, just reveal records including how many times they've been arrested, released, and rearrested.
By giving real examples of real individuals, it shows where the system, in my mind, is broken and needs to be changed.
Both the Winnipeg Police Chief and the Police Board Chair back the mayor's weekly offender bulletins.
Absolutely supported. I mean, the public has a right to be aware of what they're facing. The top arrests that our members are constantly arresting people for are breaches of some type of court order.
Criminal lawyer Caitlin Porath says most court breaches are minor in nature, like not being home for curfew. She worries the bulletins could create a false narrative among the public about the justice system.
Judges are going to be left with thinking, okay, what is the public going to think? Well, now the public has this sort of inflated sense of fear or concern.
All of this comes as the federal government promises legislation this fall to strengthen the bail system. Gillingham's video asked people to contact their local MPs and the federal justice minister to make sure the new law is bold and broad.
Be polite, be nonpartisan, but be firm in your support for comprehensive bail and sentencing reform to make our community safer.
The mayor says he's not sure at this point if the bulletins will be released by video or some other way.
So, Jeff, what specifically does Gillingham want changed when it comes to bail? What does he mean by bold and broad?
He says the laws need to be changed with bail and sentencing to give judges less discretion so they are compelled more often to keep people who are repeat violent offenders behind bars. Plus, he says there needs to be more investments for rehabilitation programs.
Thanks, Jeff. Manitoba's finance minister says that he's still aiming to balance the budget, even as a major credit rating agency warns of a much deeper deficit. The province is projecting a $327 million deficit for the 2026-27 fiscal year, but Moody's is forecasting that number could swell to $900 million, citing trade uncertainty and new tariffs from the U.S. and China. Finance Minister Adrian Salas says the government hasn't yet tabled its next budget and says the tariff impact so far hasn't been as severe as expected. Well, a heads up if you plan on taking a stroll through the Polo Park area next week. The city says the Omens Creek Bridge will be closed from Monday to Friday. It's so crews can make repairs to the bridge and embankments. A detour will take you through the park's north entrance along Portage Avenue instead. CTV's Catherine Dow joins us now with your first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. And Catherine, we got really hammered by that storm last night.
Yes, it was definitely a soggy evening, and it could be a soggy weekend to come. This same system that has sort of been hanging around, characterized as a slow-moving upper air pattern, could be spreading some more mixed precipitation and maybe some convective activity. So in our speak, that means thunderstorm activity, some strong winds, maybe some hail. However, it's not totally clear how that's going to play out yet, but we do know it's likely coming to the southwest. So there's the culprit there as the evening progresses. Slight chance of some rainfall to the southwest, but a much surer shot coming later on in the weekend. Stay with us throughout the newscast. I'm going to tell you who has the risk of getting hit, how much rain could be coming your way, and when it's expected to clear out. But right now, let's take a look outside, shall we? It's looking overcast, as has been the case through much of the day. Sun is shining on a piece of Winnipeg there. We'll take it. 25 degrees, winds are calm, barometric pressure is falling, humidity at 64%, John.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
Lower-income Manitobans can now improve their home's efficiency without paying out of pocket.
There's a comfort piece to this, there's an affordability piece, and there's an environmental piece.
Government ministers gathered in Elmwood today to announce a revision to the existing Affordable Home Energy Program. The program provides financial reimbursements for home retrofits, including insulation, heat pumps, solar panels, and energy-efficient windows and doors. Now, under the existing program, homeowners had to pay some of the costs. Now, Manitobans with low or median incomes can get upgrades with no money up front.
This program helps deliver on our promise to help families cut energy costs while also giving a boost to our economy and reducing our greenhouse gases.
Ottawa is providing roughly $30 million to Efficiency Manitoba for the program. And for the first time, tenants are eligible. Go to Efficiency Manitoba's website to see if you qualify. Manitoba is the first province to sign on to the national program. The sordid legacy of the country's residential school system and path towards reconciliation will soon have a home in Winnipeg.
Building this lodge is not just the NCTR's responsibility. It is our responsibility, and we must act together to continue to educate this country and shut down hatred.
Premier Wab Kinew announced his government will put forward $20 million for a permanent home for the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. He says it will be located at the former Southwood Golf and Country Club grounds in St. Norbert. Along with historical records and oral testimonies, the site will feature exhibits, ceremonial spaces, educational programming, and conduct research into the progress of the Commission's calls to action.
So we're going to be a real leader as Manitoba, and that's going to mean good things for the future generations. This is going to help with learning. This is going to help with future generations being able to talk about human rights and the Canada that they want to build together. But it's also just going to be a cool place when you're hosting relatives, right? We take folks to the Forks, we take folks to Assiniboine Park, the Leaf. Now you're going to bring people to the Centre for Truth and Reconciliation in the future.
The NCTR was established in 2015 and until now has been operating out of a temporary location at the University of Manitoba. Wab Kinew remains the most popular premier in the country, but a majority of Manitobans aren't satisfied with how he's handling some of their top issues. Now that's according to a new poll from the Angus Reid Institute. It found the most pressing issues for Manitobans are the cost of living, health care, public safety, and housing affordability. On all four, at least 3 in 5 Manitobans said the government was doing a poor job. Things were slightly better when it comes to the economy, with only half of respondents saying Manitoba is doing a poor job. Despite that, 48% said they would vote NDP if the election were held today. 334 Manitobans took part in the poll between August 28th and September 5th. It has a margin of error plus or minus 5 percentage points. A Manitoba cabinet minister is apologizing for sharing a social media post about the killing of American conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Families Minister Nahanni Fontaine has shared another person's post that described Kirk as racist, sexist, and transphobic, calling him a white nationalist mouthpiece. The post's author said they had no empathy for Kirk, save for his children, who witnessed the killing earlier this week at a Utah university. Fontaine removed the post shortly after, but screenshots have circulated on social media and have drawn criticism. Premier Wab Kinew says he expressed his concern with Fontaine and asked her to apologize.
And I asked our minister to apologize because I want us to be a force as a government, as you would expect as Manitobans, a force for openness and dialogue and taking the temperature down.
Kinew added Fontaine will remain in cabinet. Fontaine later issued a brief written statement in which he apologized for sharing the post and said violence has no place in a democracy. Meantime, authorities in the United States now say a suspect is in custody in connection with this week's killing of Charlie Kirk. We'll have more on the suspect and how the investigation is unfolding a little later. An inspection blitz found hundreds of boats coming into Manitoba failed to meet requirements for preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species. In late August, Fisheries and Oceans Canada and the Manitoba government conducted a 3-day roadside inspection on the Trans-Canada Highway near the Ontario border. Inspectors checked more than 950 boats coming into Manitoba. The majority were compliant with requirements that boats need to be cleaned, drained, and dry before entering the province. However, more than 200 failed the inspection, and 14 required decontamination. One boat had visible zebra mussels on it, a harmful invasive species that threatens the ecosystems of lakes and rivers. Under federal regulations, it's illegal to introduce an aquatic species into a body of water where it's not native. Fines for violating the laws aren't cheap. They can be up to $100,000. A Winnipeg horse stable is doing its part to keep a legacy alive. Years of effort are paying off now as a sacred breed of Indigenous horse adds 2 new foals to its endangered population. CTV's Harrison Shin tells us more.
Meet Mandy and Lil, 2 Ojibwe Spear horse mares at Sage Hill Stables. With the help of a stallion named Chase, they are going to bring 2 foals to an endangered bloodline considered sacred by Indigenous communities.
There's only about 200 of these horses in Canada and the U.S. right now, but at one time there was only 4 of them left.
Donahill owns the Waverly Street facility, and she offered to take the mares in from nearby Aurora Farm. It's all part of a larger effort, the Spear Horse Project. Once they were considered a nuisance to farmers and property owners.
So they tried to get rid of them essentially, and they didn't feel that they were the right kind of horse to use for equestrian sport.
Donahoe says the news that both mares were successfully bred was exciting.
It's our first year trying breeding, and we have 2 pregnant mares, a success right off the hop. So it's hard to believe.
Chase is a 15-year-old stallion in his prime from the Seine River First Nation in northwestern Ontario. He started boarding at Sage Hill years ago.
We hosted Chase here in Manitoba so that other people with Ojibwe Spirit Horse mares in Manitoba could use him for breeding.
One of the biggest challenges is the breeding process itself because of high costs and inbreeding. The 2 new foals are a big success.
It just gave a lot more meaning and purpose to what we're doing, and this just really ties it all together and helps make the project feel like we're accomplishing something.
Harrison Shin, CTV News, Winnipeg.
In the War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells imagined Mars was home to aliens bent on conquering us. Well, we haven't found any extraterrestrial spacecraft on the red planet so far, but some Winnipeg scientists have helped to find possible proof that Mars once harbored life. The clue came from Martian rocks collected by NASA's Perseverance rover. Ed Clutis from the University of Winnipeg, working with researchers from the University of Alberta and Brock University, found a potential biosignature. They believe minerals inside the formation could be the result of a chemical reaction from organic matter within the rocks.
If we want to sort of find out better whether it's biological or not, we'd have to bring it back to Earth and analyze it with a whole range of big lab instruments that we couldn't miniaturize enough to put on a rover. So there is a sample of it that's on the rover right now for eventual hopeful return to Earth.
Ed Clutis says it is certainly possible that the mineral was formed without the presence of biological life. However, he feels this is the most promising evidence yet discovered that would be consistent with biology. Still to come tonight, a suspect in custody in the killing of outspoken conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
How authorities were able to capture him as details begin to emerge about the accused killer. Plus, troubling footage of the lengths some crooks will go to steal cars. Taking a look at the markets now, crude oil added 32 cents. The Canadian dollar nearly unchanged at 72.2 cents US. Gold gained $12 and the TSX dropped 124 points. The Dow Jones fell 273 and the Nasdaq finished the day 98 points higher. Internal government documents say that costly housing is hurting the economy and making it difficult for Canadians to find homes. The briefing materials prepared for incoming Housing Minister Gregor Robertson back in May show that home building costs have increased 58% since 2020, and they could rise even further due to U.S. tariffs. The report also says the government has fallen behind on investing in housing offered below market rates. That shortfall is hitting newcomers and vulnerable Canadians particularly hard. The news comes as Ottawa plans to launch a new agency to build more affordable homes quicker. After 3 days of an intense manhunt in connection with the killing of a popular conservative influencer, Charlie Kirk, police say they now have a suspect in custody. CTV's Joy Malbin with what we know about the shooter.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
With those words, authorities identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah as a suspect in connection with the targeted killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. After these images were released last night and a video of a suspect jumping from a rooftop, police say Robinson's father confronted his son and, with the help of a youth pastor, convinced him to turn himself in.
A family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
A family member told investigators Robinson had become more political, expressing anger in chat groups and to friends.
Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
Police found a high-powered rifle and bullet casings with disturbing messages. As for motive, here's what the governor said.
The clearest one that says catch fascist, there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. I think that speaks for itself.
Kirk, a husband and father, was a rock star in the MAGA movement, debating controversial subjects like transgender issues, and a fierce ally of Donald Trump, who broke the news on air.
I hope he gets the death penalty. What he did, Charlie Kirk was the finest person. He didn't deserve this.
As Utah's governor pleaded for political healing.
This is our moment. Do we escalate or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice.
Robinson was arrested and charged with aggravated murder. He faces federal charges next week. Police believe he acted alone and is being held without bail. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
Surviving the trade war with the U.S. requires getting Canadian goods to more markets. That's why 2 ports are on the major projects list. CTV's Judy Trin takes a look at the projects in Quebec and here in Manitoba.
Expanding the Port of Montreal is one of the major projects on the fast track for approval. It's a gateway to new markets in Northern Europe and Africa.
We'll advance projects that turbocharge and connect our regional economies.
The port is bursting. Authorities say if it doesn't increase its capacity, Canadian companies may have to go through U.S. ports to ship across the Atlantic Ocean.
If Canadian companies that are now exporting to the U.S. choose another destination, with a modest 6%, the Port of Montreal will be full. So if we don't have any more capacity, what will happen is those companies will use an American port.
When it's built, the Contrecoeur terminal will reduce emissions while increasing the port's capacity by more than 1 million containers. The federal government is promising to greenlight construction this fall so the project can be finished by 2030.
The Major Projects Office will enable us to take those final steps as quickly as possible.
We are referring Port of Churchill Plus.
The port in northern Manitoba is also being considered for streamlined approvals. It's an Indigenous-led project. The plans here include using icebreakers to extend operations beyond the summer and improving roads and train routes to bring resources from the west to ship out.
So that customers can go on a year-round or close to year-round basis. So that's really the game changer, and it really allows us to diversify that trade to Europe and diversify ourselves away from the U.S.
Building a port in the Arctic is also under consideration for fast tracking. The goal for these projects of national importance is to have them approved within 2 years. Once that happens, they'll also be in line for significant federal funding. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The province of Ontario is modifying parking rules outside childcare centres after this week's deadly crash at a facility in Toronto. On Wednesday afternoon, an SUV crashed into First Roots Early Education Academy. An 18-month-old boy was struck and killed, while 6 other kids and 3 staff were hurt. A 70-year-old man faces dangerous driving charges. Education Minister Paul Calderera says what happened was tragic. In the aftermath, he said the province would be modifying parking rules to prevent the use of spaces immediately next to classrooms or playgrounds at childcare facilities, with the exception of accessible spots. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers today called on Canada Post to come back to the bargaining table. It's urging the Crown Corporation to treat the negotiations with the seriousness they deserve. The union says it will lift its ban on overtime Monday. Instead, it will implement a ban on commercial flyer delivery. Bargaining has now dragged on for more than a year and a half. There's been no response yet from Canada Post to the union's ultimatum. A disturbing new video released by police east of Toronto shows the frightening lengths that criminals will go to steal a vehicle.
What's the emergency?
He's broken in and I've got a knife. He's got a knife. He's in the garage.
Do you know who he is?
No.
This video shows the suspect crawling under the garage door after the homeowner parked. The knife-wielding intruder then threatened the husband and wife, demanding the keys and trying to gain entry into the house. The suspect then fled in the couple's luxury vehicle. Chopper footage shows police following the vehicle to Toronto before cruisers converge, box it in, and he's taken into custody. A 21-year-old man and a 16-year-old were arrested. Both face multiple charges. NATO is bulking up its defensive posture on its eastern flank. The move follows an incursion by Russian drones into Polish territory.
The reckless behavior we have seen from Russia is deeply dangerous. Our assessment of the incidents on Wednesday is ongoing. And whether or not Russia's actions were deliberate, Russia's violated NATO airspace. Therefore, we must, as NATO, make clear our resolve and our ability to defend our territory. And that is exactly what Eastern Sentry is designed to do.
New Allied equipment will be deployed to deter potential Russian aggression after a number of drones crossed into Poland on Wednesday. European leaders insist it was a deliberate provocation by Moscow. NATO member Canada says it will help however it can with the new operation on the eastern flank. Ottawa summoned Russia's ambassador to Canada on Wednesday and reprimanded him over the incursion. A member of the British royal family made a surprise visit to Ukraine today. It was Prince Harry in Kyiv, where he met with Ukrainian war veterans. This is Prince Harry's second visit to Ukraine. Harry is the founder of the Invictus Games, which support veterans injured in war. Ukraine is bidding to host the Games in 2029. When you think of the Vatican, you probably don't think mega concert, but that's exactly what's happening this weekend. Who's going to be performing on the historic steps of St. Peter's Basilica?
A bit of a mixed bag care of Mother Nature. Looking ahead to Sunday, cloudy skies throughout the day. Likely we'll see some rain move in overnight, not before that nice warm high of 26. Monday, a rainy day with 23 degrees. The sun is back out by Tuesday, but look, showers greet us once again midweek with a high of 21.
A hometown hockey hero is back on Winnipeg ice.
The kid from St. Vital, and you've led the Hawks to a third Stanley Cup. Does it get any better?
No, it really doesn't.
Jonathan Toews has been skating with the Jets as training camp gets set to open next week. The 37-year-old has been out of the NHL for 2 years with chronic inflammation and immune system issues, likely tied to long COVID. The former Chicago Blackhawks captain signed with the Jets in July. Toews is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, a 6-time All-Star, and a 2-time Olympic gold medalist.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
CTV's Catherine Dow has your complete Skywatch weather forecast. And Catherine, I'm sure you're looking into the crystal ball to find out what our weekend is going to be like.
I am, and what I'm seeing is a lot of everything, John, because we've been dealing with this very sluggish system that has been bringing mixed bags of conditions, including that rainfall we saw yesterday, and it's not done with us yet. We've had some clouds today. We're likely going to have some more tonight, as you can see, really lingering over the southwest. Meantime, meantime, we'll see some fog patches move in. That's because we have some unseasonably humid air, and that's been causing those fog patches all throughout southern Manitoba and the whole province for that matter. So a foggy evening ahead, 16 degrees. Winds will be light out of the northeast, but they're going to be ramping up in a big way into tomorrow. We kick it off very hot, 17 degrees, cloudy skies with those easterly winds. And then, as mentioned, they ramp up to 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, as does the heat, 25 degrees. We will see a little bit more sunshine into the late afternoon, but it won't be a predominantly sunny day. Meantime, to the northeast, couple clouds on tap for you. Temperatures at 10 degrees in Island Lake, 7 in Thompson and Gillam and Churchill. Into tomorrow, clear, sunny, gorgeous skies. In fact, northern Manitoba has the most straightforward, beautiful forecast for the weekend. 25 degrees in Thompson and Gillam and Churchill, hair cooler in Island Lake. Northwestern Manitoba, much the same. Temperatures slightly warmer with a couple of clouds and light winds. Some fog for you as well, dissipating in the morning. Then a mix of sun and cloud, 25 degrees across the board here, except for Lynn Lake at 27 degrees. Southwestern Manitoba, a very slight chance for some rainfall. That is from this system that we've been tracking. It's classified as a slow-moving upper air pattern. It's bringing all sorts of conditions. Likely it won't be impacting you tonight. It'll likely be a mix of cloud coverage and fog. 15 degrees in Brandon and Neepawa, 14 in Dauphin. Into tomorrow, still that slight risk of thunderstorm activity. Likely it'll be fairly overcast. Temperatures above seasonal. Swan River hot at 26. For us here, cloudy, foggy, light winds. Temperatures there in the mid-teens. Tomorrow we start off overcast. That fog starting to lift, and we'll get some sun patches into the afternoon. Highs above seasonal. For us in Winnipeg, 19 is what's typical. We're getting up to 25. And then northwestern Ontario, maybe a few clouds for you. Temperatures dipping to the mid-teens and plenty of sunshine on tap for you there. Your Skywatch picture of the day, Vic took this incredible photo at Seven Sisters Fall, just glass calm conditions there. And then Helen was telling me the rain was really coming down in Steinbach, as we showed you in the newscast. That rain gauge really picking up a lot of moisture. Thank you to everyone who submitted, and you can keep your weather pictures coming to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Catherine. The Vatican is hosting a concert in St. Peter's Square tomorrow. The first of its kind Grace for the World concert will be free to attend and will be streamed live. The co-directors and headliners are the unlikely team of Pharrell Williams, Andrea Botticelli. James Longman reports.
A different kind of history is about to be made here at the Vatican with a first-of-its-kind mega concert due to take place tomorrow right outside the Vatican down there in St. Peter's Square. We've got a pretty incredible view up here. You can see all the chairs already lined up. Global superstars are going to be taking the stage. Andrea Bocelli, Pharrell Williams, Jennifer Hudson and others. It's actually the Pope's birthday on Sunday, and this American Pope really does have the capacity to have this kind of rock star appeal. So we'll see whether or not he makes an appearance. Alongside the music, there's going to be an incredible light and sound show. Some 3,000 drones are going to be lighting up the night sky over the Vatican. They're going to create images of the Sistine Chapel. It will be extraordinary. Just about everyone in Rome, I think, is going to be able to see this. It's a Jubilee year for the Vatican, which means that pilgrims from around the world are coming here to discuss issues that are important to them. And at the moment, it's the weekend, the World Meeting of Fraternity, which means global leaders, Nobel laureates, activists are discussing ways to try to bring us all together. And Pharrell Williams has said that through music, he hopes the message of this event is one of unity and grace for humanity.
The concert is at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and streaming live on various platforms. Well, still ahead, the need for speed is leading to a need for an ambulance.
Some e-bikes can go as fast as 50 miles per hour.
Physicians warn about the rise of e-bikes as trips to the ER spike. Medical Watch is next. Finding the necessary amount of money to keep the lights on and an organization thriving is always a challenge for arts organizations, especially since the pandemic. But one local group isn't just surviving, it's thriving. The Manitoba Theatre for Young People has just successfully finished its $9 million Play It Forward capital campaign. In fact, they didn't just meet the goal, they exceeded it. Joining us now to talk about how they did it is MTYP's Managing Director, Deborah Zorb. Deborah, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, congratulations on wrapping the Play It Forward capital campaign. The question that I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, how was it done?
Yeah, well, it was done with a lot of commitment and dedicated and hard work over a number of years. You know, this wasn't something that we just started a few months ago. M2IP has been working on this for some time, and we were very fortunate to have two really fantastic individuals as our campaign co-chairs, Matt and Jane Johnson, and with them and all of the other advisory council and cabinet members, we were just able to share the message of what we wanted to do with the money that we were hoping to raise in a way that I think connected with people, and they seem to have found value in what it was that we were hoping to do as well, and have supported us. So it's yeah, a lot of work, a lot of conversations and discussions and planning, and it's really wonderful to be here now, having seen it all come to fruition.
Do you think that there are lessons that other arts organizations can take from your success?
Well, I guess if I were to offer any suggestions, I would say, you know, make sure that you internally have clarity with what it is that you're hoping to achieve and why it is that you want to achieve that, and make sure that your message matches all of your efforts and your undertakings, so that you can build that trust that's necessary when you're asking private individuals as well as public funders. The Government of Canada and the Government of Manitoba have also contributed to this campaign, you know, that they can trust that you're going to do the things that you say that you're intending to do, and present it to them in a way that they can see the value in it as well.
So let's talk about that. Where is the money going to go?
Yeah, we have three pillars that we were raising funds for. So M2IP has been managing for a number of years some legacy debt, and it was really important to us that we retire that $1.5 million that the organization had been managing for a number of years, so that we could look forward to the future instead of just taking care of historical things. So that was a really key aspect of it. And once that was achieved, that allowed us to continue with the other two pillars, which included $6.5 million in construction improvements to the facility. We're really lucky here at M2IP. The home that we work out of is purpose-built for our activities, the first of its kind in Canada to be purpose-built for theatre for young audiences. But it was built back in 1999, and pretty much all of the infrastructure was original to that time. And so for our continued sustainability, we needed to make sure that those things were updated so they'd serve us for another 25 years.
Well, a lot of things to look forward to at M2IP. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me.
Trouble sleeping could mean more than just feeling tired the next day. It may raise your risk of dementia later on. Now, that's according to a study published in the journal Neurology. Researchers ran brain scans and sleep assessments on nearly 3,000 people over 5 years. They found those with insomnia faced a 40% chance higher of getting cognitive decline. But people who improved their sleep with medication or lifestyle changes didn't see the same risks. Doctors say good rest is essential for memory, emotional health, and even clearing out brain waste linked to Alzheimer's disease. Experts recommend simple steps like a consistent bedtime and a cool, dark, quiet room. You should also limit caffeine, alcohol, and screen time and get regular exercise. The rising popularity of electronic bikes and scooters has a group of U.S. doctors urging caution.
When we get our trauma alerts, a lot of times I'm thinking, okay, is it another e-bike or e-scooter injury? Because they become more and more common.
Pediatric trauma surgeon Dr. Mark Levy with Orlando Health says his hospital alone has seen a 250% increase in emergency room visits from e-bike and e-scooter accidents. The American College of Surgeons says it's a problem nationwide, with more than 20,000 people hurt while riding e-bikes every year. About 3,000 of those require hospitalization.
This helmet is rated a level 3 helmet. which would be up to 28 miles per hour. And you can see it has a kind of a full shell around it that protects the head. It's also harder than the other one and is better for these higher rates of speed.
Levy says that head injuries are the most common, but there have also been deaths. He says many times riders he sees in the ER either didn't have a helmet or weren't wearing the right one. As speeds increase, Levy says a stronger helmet with a higher rating is needed for protection.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Coster Denture Clinic.
We wanted to add a little bit of a fun, whimsical twist to that.
You might even call it enchanting. How many different trees you can see and learn about at the Leaf's new Enchanted Forest exhibit. Spotlight is next.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Led Zepp again, the premier tribute.
They clean our air, offer relief from the heat, and provide homes for countless animals. And now the majestic beauty of trees is on full display at the Leaf. The Leaf is unveiling its newest display, the Enchanted Forest. More than 30 live trees are on display, everything from elm, birch, crabapple, and Scotch pine, and even some bonsai trees. You can also see and learn about forest floor plants such as ferns and shrubs, and bog plants like Venus flytraps.
While we have a lot of trees that will eventually end up in the park as well, you'll see a lot of extra little components here that make it a little bit more of a fun experience. So we have a little bog experience and some small fairies and some gnomes and some fun lighting here too. So a little bit of fun things to explore while you're in the biome.
The Enchanted Forest opens today and runs until November 16th. Theaters are alive with the sound of music.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
I had to restrain myself from singing to everyone's relief. The Sound of Music, one of the most beloved musicals of all times, is back in theaters. You can catch a restored and remastered version for a limited time to mark the classic film's 60th anniversary. The film won 5 Academy Awards in 1966, including Julie Andrews, who won Best Actress in a Leading Role, Best Cinematography, and Best Picture. Video game fans are getting their first look at the next Super Mario Bros. Movie. The first Super Mario movie debuted in 2023 and claimed the title of the highest-grossing film adaptation of a video game. Just a few months later, it was confirmed that a sequel was on the way, and today it was confirmed it'll be called the Super Mario Galaxy movie. That's a reference to a hit 2007 game of the same name. It's scheduled to hit theaters in April with Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, and other cast members returning. And a fellow animated film is expected to dominate the box office this week. A movie from the Demon Slayer franchise is on track to claim #1. Deadline says ticket sales forecasts range from $35 to $60 million US. That's a range across North America. That's expected to beat the second weekend of The Conjuring Last Rites and newer releases like The Downton Abbey, The Grand Finale, and The Long Walk. And your primetime lineup starts at 7 with an epic battle of the monsters in the CTV movie Godzilla vs. Kong. Then catch up on The Big Bang Theory with back-to-back episodes.
Pulling together for a good cause. Why hundreds of Winnipeggers came out to pull huge planes with their bare hands.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&Teak Spa Salon.
Bit of a gloomy end to our Friday. A bit of sun out there. Shouldn't sell us short. Winds are calm. Humidex, though, at 31. Yes, we've had some very hot temperatures over the last couple of days. 25 is what our high was. Not near that record set not that long ago in 2017. Overnight tonight, some clouds, some fog coming our way. Temperatures dipping down to 16, which is closer to a high. And then into tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies with a high of 25.
Thanks, Catherine. Planes are pretty massive objects, weighing many tens of thousands of pounds. Alone, most of us wouldn't have even a chance of budging them. But a group of people working together?
3, 2, 1!
This plane pull is the kickoff to the United Way Winnipeg's 2025 fundraising campaign, the 60th year for the local organization. Teams of 20 people rolled up their sleeves and each helped pull off the incredible feat of pulling a plane. The event is symbolic of how, by pulling together, Winnipeggers can help each other accomplish anything.
We're pulling planes because Winnipeggers care. Winnipeggers care about each other and about making sure that we have a strong social safety net for all Winnipeggers, because we never know when we might need community, and that is the work that the 125 incredible agencies that the United Way support do every single day.
Last year, United Way Winnipeg raised $22.5 million, and officials say given that the need for assistance has only grown, they're hoping to raise even more this year. Certainly a very good cause.
No kidding, and they got to wear some fun costumes.
That's right, and pull a plane.
Yeah, any chance to do both, I'm in.
All right, we'll see you again at 11:30.